Uttam, your light is behind you. Can you face the light? You can switch off the camera. And are we live now? Okay. Hi, all of you. Good evening. Akshay, Karan, Sati, Kaveri. Okay. Can you all see us? Are we streaming fine? Are we streaming fine, all of you? Hi, Prashant, Nikhil. Can you tell us if you can hear us properly? Yes, Prashant, Nida. Hi, Nida. You have joined us for the first time, I think. Nikhil, Akshay, Kaveri. We have one cloudburst with us also. Hello, cloudburst. I want to believe you are geography optional aspirant. Yeah, good to have you, nevertheless. Good evening, good evening. Okay, excellent. So thanks for joining in again. Today is our discussion on GS Paper 3. GS Paper 3 is inclusive of economy, topics of international security and science and technology, topics of environment, disaster management. Okay, so welcome all of you. And with me on the panel, we have Devender Saini and we have Uttam here with us, Uttam Verma, and we'll be discussing through the important questions. But before that, have you all seen the question paper of GS3 this time? Can you all tell me if you have seen the paper? Because there is a trend that we have every year. Okay, Nida, I think we didn't interact yesterday. That's why I do not know about you joining yesterday. Okay, Akshay, you're welcome. But have you seen the question paper, all of you? And what do you think? The paper was any different? The paper was easier? Paper was, manageable, doable? No, Akshay, the excitement is shared by us too. So what is your assessment there? Because if you look at the patterns of marks across the years, GS paper 4, people do get 100, 120, 130. Yesterday, Dimple Madam was telling us that ethics paper last year, there are students, 2019, somebody had scored 160 also in GS paper 4. Okay. And otherwise, GS paper 2 is generally the tricky one. But students get decent marks. Consistently, in some of the examination, GS paper 3 does not score well. So what do you think? Will this be the same type of trend this year also? Will it score well, not score well? I just am looking at perceptions of the students. It was easy. Prashant says easy. Cloudburst says easy. Cloudburst, aapke liye to pakka easy hoga hi hoga, because you are the rock star of the phenomena. So yes, you can definitely clean up anything on your way. But I'll ask you, Uttam and Devender. Hi, good evening, Anmol. So what is your perception? Will we have good scoring in GS3? Otherwise, in general, GS3 does not score as well. What's the reason and what do you think? Yeah, maybe Devender, you can tell us first. You are on mute, I think, Devinder.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we see the level of the paper, it is on the same line as of the previous year paper, 2022, 2021. But whenever we are seeing the marks in the GS3, they are in the range of 85 to 95. Only the few candidates close 100 marks. As the question appears simple, we are not writing those kind of a dimension which are required in the paper. We are missing out the data. We are missing out the analysis part that's need to be right in the GS3 paper, specifically related to the economic questions, specifically related to the agriculture question, we need to be mentioned. तो हमें क्वेश्चन देख के तो बहुत अच्छा लगता है कि बहुत ही इजी पेपर है, बट व्हेन वी स्टार्ट राइटिंग दिस एंड वी आर राइटिंग अ जनरल पॉइंट जो सबको ही पता है, so examiner don't put those points, they are not into some specificity.
Yes, I think that's what even Nida Hassan says, not easy, it's moderate. And Prashant has said 80, 95 के range में score होगा. Moderate says Kaveri, subdivided questions and 10 mark get tricky to yes. You have a point, Devinder. So what Devinder is telling us is question आसान है, familiar है, ज़्यादा क्या, for that matter, एकदम set pattern पे है. You have got one question on industries, one question on land reforms, you have got one question on biotechnology, you have something on security, something related to Jammu Kashmir हर साल होता ही है question. एक question आपका होता है on terror funding, terror issues पे, उस पे सवाल है. We have questions related to agriculture, consumption, cropping patterns पे सवाल होता है. Okay, so yes, the questions are very much on the lines. That's why I think people fail to see the nuances. More importantly, specifics. कि अगर पता भी है आंसर, आपको exactly पता होना चाहिए कि data क्या है, facts क्या है, and not generic points. That's what that's what Devan is telling us. So, Uttam, can you tell me what is your opinion here?
Yes, sir. Devendra rightly said that basically data and economic quoting, economic survey and budget is what we need in this paper. People fail to realize or appreciate that we need to expand the economy points. For example, in economy subject, we need to write more on economic lines, right? For internal security, there are specific keywords. We need to answer on those lines. So that answer should be an internal security wala answer. Science and technology mein, we basically constrain ourselves or do not have much points, right? So we need to have multiple dimensions, right? So yeah, sir, paper was basically more on traditional lines.
Lines, including the question demanded specifics, including facts जरूरत था, इसीलिए शायद इस बार भी पेपर 3 में मार्क्स ज्यादा नहीं जाएगा. Okay, whereas interpretation वाले questions हैं, where you have to interpret, give opinion, there the factual points may not be as much. Okay, इसीलिए शायद GS2 में थोड़ा पेपर खिंच जाता है marks, even if the paper is a bit tricky paper. Yes, Shubham, it is our pleasure also. Good evening to you. Exactly, yes. And that's what the questions are on the expected lines. Okay, but you have to write the specifics. Okay, fine. Okay, let's start off now. So, Devinder, if you can tell us a quick summary of the analysis.
Yes, sir.
Breakup
sure,
kya hai? Yeah. You have the PPT with you, Devinder?
Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah.
I have.
So let's see what your analysis is.
So if we see the level of the question according to the division, the level 1 question, level 2 question, or level 3 questions, in this paper, according to there's only the 3 level 3 questions specifically related to, one is related to the economy, second is related to the environment. So there's only the 3 questions we think ki jahan pe higher order thinking required hai. Otherwise, the level 1 question are the very high. 10 questions we need to have a complete ready-made answers if your studies according to that. अगर आपने बजट को अच्छे से पढ़ा है, सर्वे को अच्छे से पढ़ा है, you have the data, you have remembering the government scheme, तो आप 10 question तो easily answer कर सकते हो, because they are demanding just you need to write the write-up as ready-made write-up you have. And the L2 question is 7 here. means there जहाँ पे थोड़ा बहुत thinking है, some tail is attached to those questions. So you need to think what exactly examiner is demanding in this question. So there are the 7 L2 questions, 10 L1 questions, and the 3 L3 question. If we compare the same with the year 2022, there the L3 question was 5, but this year the L3 question is decreased, and the L2 question and the L1 question on a similar line.
तो इस बार मेरे ख्याल से of the 4 papers of GS, paper 3 सबसे आसान रहा in terms of the rigor required.
Yes. If we see the downward trend, the GS1 was a very typical. GS2 is little bit easy, then the GS3 is very easy according to the UPSC. Then we are coming to the next one. If we are dividing according to the subject wise, the economy and agriculture had the 8 questions. This vary in between 8 to 9 every year. This year there was the 8 question and it's carry almost 100 marks. Science and technology, it's vary between 2 and 3 questions. This year there are 2 questions, that's 25 marks, but there's a question related to the biotechnology where we are bioethanol, biofuel ke bare mein baat kar rahe hain, that can be included into environment, or that can also be included into science and tech, that depends. The question in environment and the disaster management, there are 6 questions and carry 60 marks, and always the fixed pattern for the security issue, 4 questions, 2 10 marker, 2 15 marker, total 50 marks. So this is a division of the question paper and the marks. If we see the traditional themes, जो question repeat होते हैं continuously, if we see a 20 question of GS, we will find 7 8 themes are always repeat in the paper. The first theme is that related to MSME, inclusive growth, even e-technology related to agriculture or related to the science, cropping pattern, question on the cropping pattern we can see every year. Land reforms questions, question specific to the biotechnology, even the usage of the biotechnology in the day-to-day life, usage of the biotechnology in the fuel production. So they are having a different dimension of the biology. Usage of the biotechnology in the agriculture, you will see every year in the paper. Question on the space mission, like last year there was a question on the James Webb Telescope, and this year the question on Chandrayaan we can see.
Chandrayaan 3.
Then the question on the pollution, air pollution, water pollution, like this year, the oil spill, specifically related to the ocean they asked. Then the question of wetland and the institution-based question specifically into the environment. The last year, the question was on the COP27, outcome of the COP27. And this year, the question on the IPCC, we can see in the paper.
So okay.
Without memes, it's not complete when we're seeing the paper. So Jalwa, like there's a repetition in the question, like the MSME every year we are seeing in the paper. So after the MSME bol
MSME ka jalwa jari hai. Okay. Yes. Okay. Very nice.
One more here. So this line is very famous. Dekh raha hai Vinod. Jaise means they are deriving the question, asking the question toward the microorganism, और कैसे उसमें बायोटेक्नोलॉजी को लिंक करना है, वही एक कैच पॉइंट है इस क्वेश्चंस में. तो दैट्स मीन फिट हियर. द मींस GS3 देख रहा है
माइक्रोऑर्गेनिजम्स बोल के बायोटेक्नोलॉजी का क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा है विनोद. ओके, गुड, नाइस. सो वी हैव सम क्रिएटिविटी गोइंग ऑन. थोड़े पढ़ाई में मजा भी होना चाहिए. व्हाई जस्ट ब्लैंड स्टडी. Excellent, very nice. So yeah,
let's discuss the questions, sir.
Yes, we start off now. So all of you have got the analysis more or less. The questions are definitely easy on the set patterns, but the specifics हैं वहां पर बच्चे फंस सकते हैं. And we again believe because specifics नहीं लिखेंगे बच्चे, the marks may again be within 85, 95 के range में. Okay, will be the score more or less for most students. Okay, so let's get on started. Yes, Akshay, absolutely. Akshay बता रहे हैं कि UPSC बहुत दिमाग लगाता है, एकदम बहुत दिमाग लगाता है. I mean, they are at least 10, 15, 20, 100 कदम आगे रहते हैं rest of all of us. The one institution that is ahead of the curve, and they keep surprising you. They keep stumping us. So good. We have the best of brains joining eventually. Okay, the first question on MSME. So fast economic growth requires increased share of manufacturing sector in GDP, particularly of MSMEs. Comment on the present policies of the government in this regard. So I think the trap in this question will be that you have to know the list of the policies the government has initiated and then write about whether they're good, they're bad. So the question is not about what is the government doing. The question is not about importance of MSMEs. It's not about what the government doing. The question is about commenting on the policies, commenting on the schemes. Are they good, not good? Yes, I think, Devendra, that's your domain. Why don't you
Yes,
go
sir.
ahead, please?
Yes, sir. The question is about the faster economic growth require increase the share of the manufacturing sector in the GDP. Particularly, we need to discuss this in the context of the MSME. So whenever we are starting these kind of the question, we need to have some data. Key MSME role in the exports, MSME contribution to the GDP, MSME contribution to employment. If I'm going with the data, MSME almost contribute to the 8% of Indian GDP. So this is a huge number where the specific sector, the MSME is contributing 8%. Then they're contributing the 45% in the total export of the country. If we are exporting the $100 billion, then out of that $100 billion, the $45 billion is only from the MSME. And they're generating almost, according to new data, the 12 crore jobs are generated by the MSME. तो इसलिए इनको कहा भी जाता है कि silent engine of the growth and also the export superstar. So the MSME is known as for the export superstar. And if we are looking at it, MSME, this is specifically a labor-intensive sectors. In India, we are in a working age population. We are saying a demographic dividend. We need to generate the employment. So the MSME is a specific thing where the labor-intensive, जहाँ पे labor को सबसे ज़्यादा employment की जरूरत है. So that's providing by the MSME. So if now we are coming toward the second part of the question, where they're asking about the comment on the present policy of the government in the regard of the MSME, exactly what's the policy run by the government, even if some of the schemes related to the IT, some of the schemes related to the finance, how these policies are the beneficial, and what are the negative side about these policy, and what can be the way forward. So, okay, let's discuss one by one. What is the specific policy related to it? If we are discussing about the financial related policy, that's one is the Pradhan Mantri Employment Generation Program. And the Mudra scheme, very famous scheme, the Mudra scheme, they're providing easily finances to these MSME. Sometime like there was a 90 minutes loan for the MSME specifically. The government launched these kind of the schemes. And the emergency credit line funding during the time of the COVID, the government launched. And providing the 20 for the their sustainable purpose, the government fixed the 25% of the procurement quota only from the MSME. Like the portal, like the GEM, government e-marketplace, जहाँ पे 25% are fixed only from the MSME कि जितना भी लिया जाएगा, from that 25% हम MSME से ही खरीदेंगे. So if we are coming toward the exemptions, there are specific exemption for the employment. There are specific exemption from the pollution, and then the labor and the factory officials. Or that's the discretion of the MSME. MSME will provide these data to the related organization, and there will be we can say no inspection from these body, even the body of the environment, we can say, or the labor employment. So this is a discretion the MSME is having.
Basically, इनको funding support है, इनको credit support है, और काफी relaxed rules हैं around labor and environment emission standards.
So they can grow variously. Now let's the part come to the e-governance. हम बहुत ज़्यादा e-governance. We are moving toward e-governance economy. So in the case of the MSME, there are some of the portal launched by the government, like the Udyam portal recently launched, then the Champion portals, portal for the like MSME Samadhan, जहाँ पे every problems of the MSME can be directly resolved by the government. And to connect with the MSME, there's a portal like the MSME Sampark that was recently launched by the government of India. So their government is working on the various kind of the schemes to provide the finance for the e-governance, to make the easy transaction so that they can grow easily. These are some of the government policy, but we need to be cautious in this question. Like we need to comment on the negative side as well. कि कैसे हम government policy को analyze कर रहे हैं. One side they're providing all the things, but on the other side, the number of the MSMEs decreased over a period of time. After the COVID, there's so much close, like जो MSME थे वो बंद हुए काफी ज़्यादा. Because of the government policy, we can also say because of the financial constraint, the MSME was closed. So what the issue? इसके लिए specifically issue क्या है? The one issue I can identify like the missing of the middle. Some of the MSME are restricted to up to the 50 crore.
I will insist all our viewers and listeners pay attention to this part. Okay, MSME क्या है, importance क्या है, and what we are doing तो ठीक है. वो आप लिख देंगे within half a page. अभी discussion हो रहा है देवेंद्र का. That is where the answer actually lies. That despite the fact that we are giving support, etc., the number of MSMEs have declined. Okay, so now the problems, the gaps kya hai, is what he's discussing. And that's the main point of the question. Comment on the policies. So while it's good on some ways, but what are the gaps? Yeah, Devendra, I interrupted in between. Please continue.
If we see, there's a problem of missing out. The government is providing the policy for the finance, everything, but there's a threshold for these MSM, like 50 crore limits is given. If you're crossing that limit, you are under the tax scanner of the government. So जो जिनके पास capability भी है grow करने के लिए, those are restricting themselves to up to the 50 crores. So they are restricting their domain. They're not expanding their domain. So the second issue, the government is promoting the e-governance in the MSME, but on the another side, they are very restricted to the adopting the artificial intelligence, adopting the machine learning or the virtual reality thing that are promoted by the government. So government ने scheme to launch किया, but they are not thinking about how the MSME can adopt these schemes. So there is a issue related to the adoption कि कैसे इसको adopt कराया जा सके. So there's again issue. So after that, we can say the personal problem that affect the units, specifically the technology deficient, specific about the how we can see these MSME can grow and provide a major number instead of the 8% of the GDP contribution. They can be increased up to the 15%, 14% of the GDP. That's stagnant because of the few the steps taken by the government and the note that are not implemented well by the government in this case. तो अभी हमें यहाँ पे देखना होगा कि जो issues हैं in this policy में, what can be the way forward here? क्या हो सकता है specifically? So if we are coming to the regulatory mechanism, so that should be independent body होना चाहिए, like there's a ministry for the MSME. For regulatory mechanism, there should be an independent body that can regulate the MSME, consultancy for the MSME. Their specific firm so that they can consult about their problem, they can consult about their growth, about the product. So that should be the regulation only through a single body. Nowadays, there's a ministry, but not a single regulatory body that can control all the MSME of the country. The second issue, we are providing the finance to these MSME, but there is an issue related to the supply chain infrastructure. In that supply chain infrastructure, we need to be work on the supply chain finance. There's a urgent requirement for the like a supply chain infrastructure, so they can be working on that. Like there's a scheme by the government, zero defect and the zero effect scheme. Means you are producing those goods which have the zero effects and the zero impact on the environment, but how we can transport, how we can export without a good supply chain infrastructure. So again, there's a requirement of supply chain infrastructure. Even this is seen during the COVID time also. The India was lack in the supply chain. So during the vaccination, we can say, during the providing the medical aid to the citizens. So that's the issue again. Even in the case of some of the agriculture product that we are transporting, again, the supply chain issue. So that's highlighted here. We need to be work on the supply chain. Then the government is working on the technology enabled platform to automate the transaction. But that's again the adoption issue by the MSME. So they are not easily adopting these changes. That a taxation structure provided by the government of India related to the MSME. So need to be work on how these MSME can fill the one-time tax. Nowadays, they need to be filled after every 3 months, after every 6 months. So we need to be work on that taxation structure also. So they get the maximum benefit and so they can operate easily without the constraint of the government policy. And again, the one thing more, we need to link these MSME industry with some of the academics also. So from the academic background, there's someone who are guiding these MSME and they can absorb the linkage between the academic and the MSME. So these are some of the way forward.
If I sum up the conversation, Devendra, the comment on the policies is that government is proactive, government is investing, and the lot of tax benefits, restrictions are less, but some things are not done very well. So summing up quickly, what has not been done well? Number one, the tax structure is such that most MSMEs are happily restricting themselves. Well, the potential is to probably grow as much as 15% of GDP. We are keeping ourselves at 8-9%. Then there are problems related to technology adoption. Lot of schemes are there, but not adopted well because maybe the training, etc. is missing. Then you talked about the problem related to the supply chain integration. We have not been able to integrate the production, the processing, with the global supply chain. Then again, the academic industry का जो interface है, वो हमारा ठीक नहीं है. And personal training, training of the skills, the upskilling चाहिए. So fair enough. So comment में we have done quite a bit, but to make it really, and you know, I include read that MSME are the future of India's Atmanirbhar Bharat. They can be part of every ecosystem, supplying spare parts, the smaller products, electronics mein. MSMEs can also get defense collaborations.
Like in the case of
so even in Chandrayaan they have some.
Yes.
Yes, even
Chandrayaan also.
Yes, correct.
Yes, sir. They supplied multiple components.
Yes, exactly. So fine, excellent discussions. I hope all our listeners and viewers are getting a hang of what's required. कि आप जब भी आप क्वेश्चन पढ़ें, जो keywords को आप छोड़े नहीं. Okay, it's not about what are we doing. It's about what are the gaps, and give us your comment. What are the good things? Appreciate that. Okay. So fine. Thank you so much, Devendra. Quite a complete discussion. Question number 2. I think this is an easier one, but again, a trap in some ways. What is the status of digitization of Indian economy? Examine the problems faced in this regard and suggest improvements for this. So I think digitization, the question pakka aapko expect karna chahiye. But what I think the trap is that you have to know the status ka matlab hai, you must know some facts and figures about this, of the adoption, the spread, okay, the reach of this process of having more digital economy, plus kya problems exactly hai and what are the solutions required. The specifics will matter more. So yes, Uttam, please go on. What's your answer on this?
Thank you, sir. So the question has basically 3 parts. What is the status of digitalization? Second, the problems faced with respect to digitalization, and suggesting the improvements, right? So we can say basically that India has the second largest smartphone market in the world, right? It has a high broadband users, around 76 crores. It's according to 2021 data. And internet penetration is about 66 to 70% in urban areas in India. So we can basically say that the status of digitalization in India is this. And we can also open up to different sectors. For example, agriculture mein kitna hai digitalization ka state. For example, agriculture is using eNAM now, right? Drones in agriculture is being used. But only 2% of the Indian farmers actually use the apps in fields, according to NASCOM, right? And as if you see in the other sectors, for example, in MSMEs, around 50% of the MSMEs has adopted digital sales. They use government e-procurement portal, right, for public procurement. And basically, if you see in the fintech sector, in July, India has touched around 15 lakh crores value-based transactions. So it is one of the highest rates. Then India has also one of the highest fintech adoption rate compared to world. India is around 87%, it is, compared to global average of 64. And then if we coming to the problems faced with respect to digitalization, so there are many problems. Pehla problem sir digital infrastructure ka hai. Rural areas mein there has been wide digital divide. There is a problem of affordability. Rural area mein internet ka penetration bahut kam hai. Around there is 25% penetration. Then gender access to internet is very low, around 33% it is. Then there is a bahut kam digital literacy hai. There is around 10% of the Indian population is digitally literate. There are then regional language barriers hai. Cyber crimes के issue होते हैं. Every data breach it gets, so it creates an issue. Then coming to the next part, suggesting improvements, we need to bridge the challenges, right? We need to focus on building the digital infrastructure. For example, BharatNet program hai, right, to connect the 2.5 lakhs gram panchayats in rural areas. Then improving digital literacy improve कर सकते हैं. Pradhan Mantri Gramin Disha Abhiyan is for that, to increase the digital literacy. Then we also need to focus on the regional language barriers wala thing. Then we need to protect the data, right? So basically providing IT solutions suited to Indian needs would be the conclusion around this answer.
Okay.
So by that, yes, we can handle this question.
वैसे एक सवाल ये है, I don't know if the all of you have wondered about this or not, or ये accepted था. There are two words. One is digitization, और एक है digitalization. I do not know if you know the difference between the two. Digitization हम ज़्यादा use करते हैं, okay, but question है digitalization. I mean, most of us don't really pay attention to that, but दोनों में फर्क है. Digitization as a concept is converting any data into a digital format. like आपका जो हाथ लिखा आंसर है आपने उसको सॉफ्ट कॉपी बना दिया. That is digitization. And digitalization is the entire process. Software, hardware, adoption, technology, research, what type of schemes you are promoting. Okay, so just be aware. I'm not saying that it should be a issue right here, but दोनों का अलग meaning है. Digitization is more commonly used, but that's a very small part of the bigger concept of digitalization. Anyways, so that's speaking a point for all of you. Okay, let's move on. The next question is an easy one, according to our analysis, an L1 question. Thanks, Uttam, by the way. Next question is, how does e-technology help farmers in production and marketing of agriculture produce? I think this was among the easiest question. I don't even know we should discuss this or not. So are we discussing this, Devendra, Uttam, or we are skipping this? You're on mute here.
We are discussing it, but like a very small discussion.
अच्छा जल्दी कर दो फिर. ये एकदम मेरे लिए एकदम boring topic है, but जल्दी कर दो please.
Like one thing, the same question was asked in the recent year with the same language. I am reading the question here. How can Digital India program help farmer to improve the farm productivity and income? What steps the government taken in this regard? The same type of the question already has been asked in the UPSC previous year. So there's an importance of the previous year, and specifically in the mains paper, there's a repetition of the theme, then even the repetition of the same kind of the question. That is one of the example. If we are going to the question, how does e-technology help farmers in the production and marketing? So mainly we need to link the question with the two perspectives. One, how they are helping the production, and the second, how they help in the marketing. And this is a very simple question. So we can start the question with e-technology that aid the farmer in the various hardware, software, in the form of website, mobile app that support the farmer in the agriculture produce, that support the farmers in the agriculture practice. So that we need to be defined here specifically. A general definition will not give you the extra mark, but you need to be choose your words specifically how they're helping here. So if we're coming to the direct to the part, how they're helping in the agri production. Specifically, we are dividing this into 3-4 parts. The first is the precision agriculture. They're helping in the precision agriculture through use of sensors, GPS technology, data analytics, amount of irrigation, the amount of fertilizer you need to be applied to the soil. So like we are having a soil health card, जहाँ से हमें soil के nutrient के बारे में पता लगता है. So now we have a data कि कितना amount of fertilizer required है, कितना amount irrigation required है. Then remote monitoring. Now this is a specific part here. Remote monitoring of the crops, remote monitoring of the livestock using the camera, drone, satellite imagery. So like a potential disease predators के बारे में check करना, that can be done through the remote sensing. Then the farm management software. Now these are the new technology through which we are managing our large farms. To the farm management apps, these provide the tools for planning, scheduling and the income expense report. आपने कितना प्रोड्यूस किया, कितना आपने गवर्नमेंट को सेल किया, कितना आपने प्राइवेट पार्टी को सेल किया, कितना आपके पास स्टॉक है, that completely managed by this farm management system. Like in any other MNC जहाँ पे हमारे पास सारा डिटेल होता है, in outs, the same thing is applied to the farmer field now to the farm management software. Then the government are launching the various kind of the portal like the Kisan Suvidha portal, PM Kisan Yojana, different things of the for the agriculture extension services, weather forecast services for the farmers when they are like growing their crops. So these are some of the technological, we can say that they are helping the production. But now the second part is about the how they're helping in the agri marketing. So I can say this is the link between the market, buyers, and the traders. So e-technology are a direct link between the market, buyers, and traders. They're providing the real-time information about the commodity, like in the Sensex, जहाँ पे हमें real time पता लगता रहता है कि क्या commodity का क्या rate है. Similarly, in this case, they're providing the real-time information about the commodity, price, market trends, किस चीज का demand है, किस चीज का demand नहीं है. According to that, price can be regulated.
So if I rephrase this in some ways, Devinder,
Yes, sir.
While we list down what is the government doing, it's बहुत important है. How does e-technology help farmers in production?
Yes, sir.
So help farmers में मैं कहूँगा number one, easy access to market, therefore e-NAM.
Yes.
Help farmers in terms of input optimization, therefore and maybe soil input management. It helps there, and therefore it is the Kisan, your soil cards.
Soil health card, yeah.
Health cards. Help farmers in terms of maybe deal with the problems of your procurement of machineries, etc. So we have this Kisan portal for that.
Yes, sir.
वैसे कुछ रखना पड़ेगा. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So not simply list down what it is being done, yes, but take it like that. How does it help?
Examples we need to build, like the government initiative.
Examples important. Discussion रखना पड़ेगा. How does it help?
Yes.
It helps in input management. It helps in market access. It helps in easy credit. It helps in probably training of the farmers. It helps in maybe forecasting. जो भी है.
Yes.
ठीक है. तो वो बात हमें भूलना नहीं है. And then write whatever you want to write.
Like this government schemes like the e-NAM about the national agriculture market, agri marketplace. This is an online mandi, we can say, for the farmers. Then the Kishan Bandi, specifically about the when they're taking their produce to the market, that can be immediately noted to the Kisan Bandi. Then the e-Sahmati, without the farmer agreement, they cannot sell anything. Then the e-Rakam, they are providing the after selling the amount of the money that can be directly credited to the farmer's account. So these are helping in the marketing purpose. So these are some of the directly we need to be right here. That's a very simple question.
Okay, then let's move on. It was a simple question. Maybe the play work with one or two words. Let's move on to next question, question number 4. I think this was among the tricky questions of this paper. Okay. State the objectives and the measures of land reforms in India. क्या objectives हैं? Objective includes removal of land inequity. Objective includes support of small marginal farmers in terms of land ownership. Objective includes reducing the rents and maybe making it more small farmer friendly. Objective includes increasing productivity by reducing land fragmentation, by cooperative farming. So tenancy reforms, cooperative farming, land consolidation, land sealing, removal of zamindari system or intermediaries. I think ये सबको पता है. Now, what has been done? Measures क्या हैं? So measures under 4 categories हैं. What we have done is number 1, removal of intermediaries में constitutional भी किया हमने, legal भी किया. We have removed the zamindari system. As far as land rent is concerned, it has been reduced again from as high as more than 50%, 60%, say average 20-25%. Some states have a bit more higher, like Karnataka. Otherwise, on average, around range of 15% land rent hai reduced kiya gaya hai. We got tenancy reforms we have done. Okay, most states have tenancy reforms where we have got a securement of land rights. उसमें आप forest rights act भी डाल सकते हो. हालांकि directly farmers के लिए नहीं है, tribals के लिए, but that's perfectly fine. So we have done this in 5 states. We have, in fact, most states, but 5 में more remarkable रहा है. Okay, you have this Operation Bargardar of West Bengal, communist movement in Kerala, Jammu Kashmir Tenancy Act we have done. We have done the act in Gujarat, in Karnataka. We started with 5-6 states. Now, almost all states have something or the other. 11 states में ज़्यादा aggressively pursue किया गया है. What has been done? So ये fact जो है, ये important है. What has been done? Land fragmentation हटाने के लिए we have got land consolidation programs. जो चकबंदी programs हैं, we have been doing that. Cooperative farming launch किया हमने. So again, I think most of us know this. The challenge is the next part of the question. To discuss how land ceiling policy on land holding can be considered as an effective reform under economic criteria. Now, see, if you look at the failure or the limited, you can say, outcomes of land reform, सबसे बड़ा controversial, सबसे, I think, the biggest failure, if you can say, has been Land Ceiling Act. A Land Ceiling Act had a huge agenda as a part of ensuring equity, as a part of ensuring small farmer, marginal farmers empowerment, as a part of ensuring that we live up to the DPSP principles of land for the cultivators. So ये सबसे बड़ा failure रहा है, and this has been a kind of a recurring problem for the country. पहली बार हमने 61, 62 में we had some direction guidelines. उसके बाद हमने 71, 72 में दोबारा किया, and then series of enactments हुए हैं, but not of much. Why? Because in most cases, land ceiling has been bypassed by most of the landholders. They have found loopholes, they have found some reason or the other for Benami transactions. A lot of land records are not formalized, bearing 2 or 3 states. I think the most remarkable land ceiling jo kiya gaya hai, it was in Jammu Kashmir, it was in West Bengal, it was in Kerala. Because Kerala and West Bengal, it was partly because the communist movement, the empowerment of small farmers who could actually make it happen. And Jammu Kashmir was a part of the entire movement post-independence. And the Sheikh Abdullah, he drove the entire agenda of land reforms. And तो वहाँ पे हो पाया. बाकी जगह there's a lot of bypass किया गया है. Now, what is being asked is that it can become effective if the criteria is economic criteria. So as of now, if you look at the states, to start off with, the criteria for land reforms was on the basis of individuals. One person can own how much. Then we had an amendment to that, a change to that. एक और नया act बना 70s में that said कि the land ceiling will be on the basis of household. And household wala was the biggest way how people bypassed. Because how do you define a household? 4 members, 3 members, husband, wife, not the youngest kid, small kid, extended household. वहाँ पर बहुत ज़्यादा there has been misuse of the provision, and the criteria of household has not worked at all. Then the criteria of fertile land, infertile land, good land, bad land, irrigated land, non-irrigated land, that also not worked very well. Okay, a reason being is, again, the land records are not absolutely perfect, and classifying on the basis of land fertility, good, bad, the revenue wala dimension hai, not in terms of land fertility. So वो भी हमेशा disputed रहा है. So now the topic is saying that can we have the criteria, economic criteria? Economic criteria में 3 parameters आता है. One is economic criteria in terms of income of the farmers. If the income is beyond some point, maybe the farmer is not allowed to own more land. So more and more land should go to the smaller farmers. The second economic criteria can be in terms of what type of land you use. Are you using land for plantations? Are you using land for maybe agriculture industries or agriculture processing? Some type of crops like sugarcane requires more amount of land. Orchard type of plantations require more type of land. So if we can fix the land ceiling on the basis of land use, it will be incentive for the farmers to go for profitable and commercially viable projects. Abhi kya ho raha hai? Because we're talking about irrigation criteria. So farmers, because they're scared they will lose the land, वो irrigation लाते नहीं हैं. Irrigation नहीं लाते हैं, so productivity is down. Okay, because farmers fear that if they work on the land and they're able to grow more land, maybe it comes under the good land. Again, they will stop producing there. So most farmers are happy abandoning the land. So if we can change the criteria towards what type of land use, what type of farmer income, and incentivize industrial agriculture production, say collaboration, and then incentivize, you can have more land if you have more productivity, more income. In fact, studies have told that larger lands actually give you good productivity, but of course not as large as 50, 70, 80, 100 acres. Aisa nahi hai. Generally, any land holding which is below 10, 15 acres will not give you 15 hectares will not give us good yields. So agar ceiling aapne 18 hectare pe kar diya, okay, it actually incentivizes the farmers to produce more. So therefore, yes, like if we can have economic criteria based on income of the farmer, based on the productivity levels of the farms and what type of land use, it will benefit the process of agriculture development and economic development, rural development. So if you look at the criteria earlier, the earlier land ceiling was a socialist objective. The objective was to have land for all type of farmers, including poor farmers and small farmers. अब हम बोल रहे हैं socialist नहीं होना चाहिए, okay, alone. You move the criteria towards productivity, outcome, profitability, employment generation, land use क्या है, उस पे आप depend करो. So that will make land a good input in production outcomes rather than simply the objective of land ownership equity. So I think quite a bit of information. I hope you all understand. It was on that basis the Niti Aayog 2006 में एक modern land leasing scheme they tried. MP में try किया गया with fairly good success. And the idea was that we encourage the farmers and the industries to develop some kind of contract interface banakar. So it was more tuned towards economic gains rather than simply distributive and socialist gains. Okay, I think I spoke more than I should have. So that was question number 4. I think it's a tricky question. I'm not very sure if most people understood the idea of economic criteria. Okay, let's move on. The next question, question number 5. Again, this is on the expected lines, but there is a twist. The question is, introduce the concept of artificial intelligence and how does AI help clinical diagnosis? And do you perceive any threat to privacy of individual and so on? So isme na, I mean, we're discussing, me, Uttam and Devendra were discussing this question before we'll take up now. The challenge is, number 1, is asking you to explain the concept of AI, introduce the concept, kind of define the concept. So I do not know, when you study AI, do you really pay attention to defining the term or not? I mean, pata hai kya hai? What is AI? We all know. Chatbot bolte hi, okay, chat GPT bolte hi, it's AI. But introduce the concept, explain it, define it. That's one trap. Not sure if how many have done this deliberately. Second trap will be AI in clinical diagnosis. It is not in general AI in medical science or AI in treatment. In general nahi hai. Diagnosis mein batao, what is the role of AI? And then of course, the threat to privacy, yes or no, some discussion. So I think Devendra is going for this, right, Devendra?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, please continue.
So there was a discussion in the Toronto University regarding the concept of the AI. Exactly what is the concept of artificial intelligence? If according to the university, AI is a computing concept that help a machine to think and solve complex problem as we human do with our intelligence. Means we are having a same capability to think. Now they're training the machine to think like a human being. Note this one also, when we are performing our task, we are making some of the mistakes. We forgot something. We are not we are making a mistake in data. We are making the mistake in some of the dimensions, and we are learning from our mistake in next time. Similarly, the AI is trained according to that. Whenever we are asking something from the chat GPT, the chat GPT is giving the wrong answer. But when we are typing this is the right data, then the chat GPT learn. When you next time ask the same question from the chat GPT, that will give the same answer. Means that their AI is also learning from their mistakes. That's the concept of the artificial intelligence. Means that's a machine think and solve the complex problem like a human being, learn from their own mistake when they suggested, yeah, that this is the wrong. When we learn about our mistake, when we and anybody other find out us कि आपने ये गलत लिखा है, this is not the question demand. When you are evaluating the copy of the mains answer, we are writing about this is not the question demand. Then the student learn ये तो गलत है. then they learn in the next time they're not writing those mistake in the paper. Similarly, the AI, artificial intelligence, is learning from its mistake. That's the concept of the artificial intelligence. So that's you need to be defined in the introduction itself, because the question is saying introduce the concept of artificial intelligence. तो आपको सबसे पहले यही explain करना है. Now come to the second part where the question is asking us, how does AI help clinically diagnosis? Now they are asking a narrow dimension. Instead of the complete medical science, they are asking specific thing related to the diagnosis purpose. कैसे AI diagnosis में हमें help करता है? So in this case, we can say the one of the good thing about the AI, it can analyze the complete data, huge amount of the data. Like in the AIMS, for take an example, in AIMS, if there are 2 lakh patients are going for in OPD for an year, if the data of the 2 lakh patient is given to AI, it will analyze easily that data. And having the information about that data, that will help in the diagnosis further and make the diagnosis easier for the doctors, make the diagnosis easier for the machines also. So the first purpose, it can easily diagnose. Second, it is about the improved accuracy in the diagnosis, like in the case of the X-ray, we can say in the case of the CT scan, MRI, blood test, we can say also in the form of biopsy, it can easily. It also analyzed through the AI algorithm, where it can read the reports of X-ray. It can read the report of MRI. It's not easy to read the report by a common human being, but the AI can suggest, I can read. And this is the surprise thing. There is a huge accuracy, more than 95, 96% accuracy through the AI when they are starting through diagnosis. So there are the three things I can say: prediction in accuracy, it increase the speed of diagnosis, accuracy in the speed of diagnosis, efficiency in the diagnosis. So even in the case of the patient data, 2D imaging, 3D imaging, about the ECG, electrocardiograph, biosignals about to tracking the biosignals of the human beings, where the AI play a very important role, so they can check the data here. Now the new kind of the AI is also introduced, the explainable AI, explainable artificial intelligence, where you are providing your X-ray to the AI, they're giving the complete information about the X-ray. Exactly is X-ray mein hai kya? So that's term specifically is the explainable AI. That's the potential to make the health record very simple, to keep the track of the health record, so can easily interlink the medical history of the different patient and make the diagnosis easy. Like in the case of the rare disease, when somebody is diagnosed with the rare disease, and we are not having the enough data for the rare disease, and in the whole world there's 100 patient, 200 patient, 2000 patient of that rare disease, that easily recognized by the AI, and easily it recommend the prescription there. So that's the importance of the AI in the diagnosis. Now, if we're coming to the third part of the question, threat to the privacy of the individual in the use of AI in the healthcare. Recently, there was a data hack in the AIMS, All India Institute of Medical Science, related to the patient health data. जहाँ पे बहुत सारा data, particular different patient having a different problems, that some problems we cannot disclose, that was hacked by the server. Those case mein, there is an issue of the privacy when this data is hacked by, so that can lead to the privacy issue. We are using the Fitbit band, we are using the health band, they are tracking our health status on a daily basis. They are tracking our sleep, they are tracking our heartbeat, they are tracking our blood pressure, but the monitoring is by the third party company. Even it's the Chinese company MI, even it's the Indian company, even it's the Amazon Fitbit band, even it's the Huawei. In the some of the case, we can say the Google band also. So the tracking data that are tracked by these organizations without any permission, because in India there is no stronger law related to the privacy. So there is an issue of the data hack. There is an issue of the complete tracking of the patient profile, patient health record, that can lead to the major issue in the future. So the government of India is working on it. Like there's a new recent discovery. One is by the Google. They are they're making another AI name is DeepMind, that can help again in the diagnosis related to the mind, specifically related to central nervous system problems, that can be easily recognized by this AI. Then the IBM, there's a name Watson, that's specifically for the accuracy, speed, and efficiency in the diagnosis. So this is the complete data about the diagnosis. What's the concept of AI?
You have given quite a list, Devinder. we must collate all of this and maybe PDF form में share कर देते हैं.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so excellent. You have done quite a bit of thorough study of these methods, and okay, yeah, I think we'll move on from here, Devinder.
Yes, sir.
If you're done.
Yes, sir. I'm done.
Yeah, you're done. Excellent. So you got the whole idea of the discussion is that we are trying to tell you what we mean by specifics. Don't just write good, bad, ugly और छोड़ दिया नहीं. आपको नाम, सॉफ्टवेयर का नाम, टेक्नोलॉजी का नाम, maybe some research का नाम. Be specific as much as possible. Okay, let's move on. Question number 6. I think this is a tricky one. Again, I don't think many of you would have read this. So, Uttam, will you take this up? L2 level question. Discuss several ways in which microorganisms help in meeting current fuel shortage. So,
Sure, sir.
Yeah, please, Uttam.
Sure, sir. Sir, in general, every year there is a traditional theme. एक साल biotechnology repeat होता है, एक साल nanotechnology repeat होता है. And in biotechnology too, it focuses mainly on health and energy. So it is basically a traditional theme, but the question is tricky, right? It has basically more narrowed down on the role of microorganisms in meeting the current fuel shortage. So the demand of the question is, we need to know the क्या है अभी current fuel shortage. For example, if we see there is an energy crisis and fuel shortage issue due to war, due to basically supply chain issues which originated from during COVID time, due to political instability, and the world basically moving from fossil fuels to renewables, and renewable energy still to take off in a very major way, right? So it's a status. Now coming to the question, so there is a basically increase in demand of the energy, right? By 70%. There is basically increase in demand of the energy till 2030. So how microorganisms can meet in helping that current fuel shortage? This is the question. So basically, we need to write the biofuels, third generation biofuels, which is basically algae-based biofuels that can help in converting basically meeting the current fuel shortage. Secondly, the process of biomethanation, where organic material can be converted into basically biogas under anaerobic conditions. For example, in India, there is a scheme, Govardhan scheme, which is focusing on this, right? So we are doing that. Third, we can also focus on microbial fuel cells, which converts chemical energy to electrical energy with the use of microorganisms. And in that way, we can counter this fuel shortage. And the last thing, which can use biohydrogen production from the microbial fermentation that converts biomass into biohydrogen, and that is a form of energy. Now the question is asking, discuss. So we need to also write the challenges part, right? Challenges part of microorganisms that helping in current fuel shortage. So challenges part is there is a nascent technology. This biofuel and the use of microorganisms is still a very nascent technology. Lot of R&D is required. There is basically a high cost of production. At this stage, there is a high cost of production. Then it is very energy intensive production, right? So what we can do is basically focus on government schemes or providing more funds to R&D so that we can promote the use of microorganisms to counter this, to basically fulfill our energy needs.
Yeah, Uttam, thanks a lot. So again, the facts are important, and I think most of the students would have missed out on this much. I can guess they might have written something on maybe biofuel, not knowing the name of organism, and some of them may have tried waste to energy wala jo process hai. Okay, but I don't know if they know the names and that's okay. I think you have to be smart in managing. Okay, let's move on. Now, guys, the next couple of questions are absolutely straight. I don't think it merits any detailed discussion. Most of you would know this. So we have a question on oil pollution. We are skipping that. We have a question on question number 9. Question number 9 is winning the hearts and minds in terrorism areas is essential step in restoring the trust of population. Discuss the measure adopted by the government as part of conflict resolution in Jammu Kashmir. Now, see, I'll take this question up because about security issues. I think this was an expected question. There's one difference here, that you had to write about what is the government doing in conflict resolution. I think that was the key word. Most would read this as what is the government doing for development. I'm not saying the points will be dramatically different, but if you spend some time, you would know that conflict resolution is not same as like a development. Of course, a lot of conflicts are because of lack of development. A lot of conflicts are because the opportunities for growth are less. But specifically, if you can write about conflict resolution, it would help more. So if I was writing the answer, I would start by saying that conflict resolution is important, and there are 3 reasons why we have conflicts. Of course, number 1 is there is some element of communal angle. और communal angle में ना 3 angle है. One is the Buddhist angle, where Kashmiri Jammu regions have dominated. The Ladakh region has not been much of a priority for the government. So Ladakh wala conflict issue hai, where they have felt that they have been marginalized. The second area of conflict is Kashmir versus Jammu wala discussion, where Jammu always felt it was underrepresented, and Kashmir had the bulk of the representation. Okay, and third is there is a communal angle, plus there is Kashmir mein hi, there are conflicts around the Shia and Sunni conflicts. Okay, plus of course the conflict between the Kashmiri Pandits vis-a-vis the rest. So ये 4-5 dimensions से आपको शुरू करना चाहिए था. So what have we done for Ladakh region? Ladakh has been declared as a separate entity altogether. And so that's one step towards ensuring that Ladakh has some representation in the future, which is sizable. So that's one part of taking care of Ladakh's marginalization. In terms of Jammu versus Kashmir, they have had a delimitation, and Jammu has now more representation. So when the elections happen, maybe that issue of marginalization of Jammu will be taken care of. But that requires a lot of enrollment from the Kashmir population also. Otherwise, the antagonism between Kashmir and Jammu will only increase. So while Jammu is seemed to be assuaged and comforted, but यहाँ पर conflict resolution ज़्यादा हुआ नहीं है. But in Kashmir Valley, they have done a lot of things to ensure that the Shia-Sunni conflict is taken care of, the Pandits versus the rest of Kashmir Muslims taken care of. Usme, there has been a promise to rehabilitate the Pandits in the valley. And in that, there have been a lot of programs where the Kashmiris have also come out in support of rehabilitation. Although there is a lot of, you can say, threats from the separatist groups, which I'm sure the security concerns will take care of. So Pandits ka rehabilitation, Ladakh ka representation, Jammu's better representation, plus whatever conflicts are because of the sectarian issues is taken care of. In fact, recently the government has also ensured that there will be some kind of Sufi and Hinduism ka cultural programs where they want to bring in Kashmir as extensions of Ganga, Jamna, Tehzeeb. देखा जाएगा, Kashmir has a very long history of amicable living with different religions. I mean, Raj Tarangini as a book was written in Sanskrit, Muslim population with a Hindu Raja. And that area has a lot of traditions around Hinduism and Muslim Sufi culture has been part of that region's culture. Unfortunately, with the 80s and 90s, the Pakistan government interfering, that has aggravated and spoiled the entire atmosphere. The government is trying to bring that camaraderie back. That's, I think, one of the important focus of the discussion. having talked about this part of conflict, then you can move on towards what are the development and what are the security based initiatives taken up. Development में पूरा लंबा list है. The tunnels are being made, the bridges are being made, Srinagar metro has been proposed. They're talking about lot of industrial programs, industry revive kind of programs. In fact, in terms of grant, Jammu Kashmir has received one of the largest grants for reviving the industrial development and increasing employment in industrial sector. A lot of investment has gone into saffron cultivation, strawberry cultivation, horticulture. So part of development to ensure that there is less power, less conflicts. I mean, the slogan is that we want to take the stones from the hands of the youth and give them jobs. Okay, involve them as a part of the peace process and development rather than involve them in all of this unnational activities which probably drains them of their youth and their skills. Apart from this, lot of trust in education. Jammu mein AIMS, IIMs, IITs, engineering colleges are being set up, medical colleges are being set up. AIMS is coming up with its large center at Jammu itself. IIT Jammu, bataya aapko. So all of that is part of promoting education. Conflict resolution, developing infrastructure, investments for industries, and education sector. I think this will be a very comprehensive answer that ways. If the students are willing to look up, there is one PIB summary on this. The summary was published on 10th of January this year by Ministry of Home Affairs ka review. What all has the government done? Okay, so I think it's a document worth reading. 2-3 page ka hai. Good reading to ensure that they understand what's done for Jammu Kashmir.
Sir, we can also add the dimension of sport here. The sports also play.
Sports, absolutely, yes, absolutely. Lot of support in sports, correct. I think football, cricket,
so Khelo India Center
is yes, Khelo India Center for athletics. Yes, absolutely, yes, correct. So I hope they get the insight from the conversation. Let's move on. Let's take up the next question. Question number 11. We are skipping. It's a straight question. Unemployment wala jo question hai. Okay, Devinder, this is a straight question. We can skip it. I think we can go to question number 12. Question number 12. Distinguish between care economy and monetized economy. How can care economy be brought into monetized economy through women empowerment? I think I like this question. Very well framed, and it requires some application of what we have read. So who is going on for this? Is it Uttam or Devinder? Anyone of you can take up.
Yes,
Uttam is taking up. Yeah, please,
yes,
Uttam.
I will take.
Do the honors.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the first part of question is basically distinguish between care economy and monetized economy. What is care economy, right? So it is an unpaid and informal caregiving work, right? So basically what happens is it is often provided by, this care economy is often provided within women, basically, right? Within household. For example, our maids, our cooks, they are the component of care economy, right? What services they provide? Cleaning household, cooking, taking care of elderly, right? So they are the components, or they are the work what they do in care economy. But the issue is their contribution is basically not reflected in the GDP. So if we distinguish it with the monetized economy, so what happens? Monetized economy is very formal, and it is a paid activity, right? Monetized economy uses money as a medium of exchange for transactions. Right? Monetized economy basically aims for profitability. For example, if we see in manufacturing, services, IT sector, right? And one of the major differences is also that their contributions are reflected in economy, while the care economy do not have कुछ reflection नहीं होता GDP में, ना labor force participation rate में होता है, ना ही GDP में होता है, right? And monetized economy का contribution reflect होता है economy. So that is the major difference, or we can distinguish between this. Now, how can care economy be brought into monetized economy through women empowerment, right? So the keyword is basically women empowerment, focusing on women empowerment. How can we basically transform care economy into monetized economy. So what we can do first, we can on a policy level, we can हम लोग GDP और लेबर फोर्स पार्टिसिपेशन रेट के जो methodologies हैं उसको अपडेट कर सकते हैं. Second, we can promote new work models. For example, in gig economy, there is a freelancing work, right? Work from home model has come up. So it basically gives flexibility to women. It opens up global market for them, right? So इससे क्या होगा, वो केयर इकोनॉमी मतलब बेसिकली वहाँ we are basically transforming them into monetized economy by providing multiple of services. We have opened up global market for them. Then what we can do is we can also use self-help groups, right? That run community kitchens. For example, Kudum Shri, right? The role of Kudum Shri in empowering women. You know, we can also use them as a monetized economy in midday meal centers, right? And we can also use skilling schemes, right? We can skill them. For example, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, it promotes the skilling. Right? We can focus on those sections, those care economy wala part, which are not skills or which needs reskilling or upskilling. We need to create support systems for them. For example, PM Saubhag Yojana, I guess, right? That provided access to LPG connection. So what it does, it saved time of women, right? So it made women very productive. Now they do not have to go for firewood collection, right? And also some states have basically, some states like Karnataka or Tamil Nadu has started monthly basic income for the care economy, for to basically recognizing the importance of care economy. They are giving some, some allowance so that their participation or their contribution gets recognized. But for 15 markers, sir, I think this much content can be
Yes,
done and easily handled.
I agree. Yes, but well discussed. Very well discussed.
In
Thank you,
So
here
आपने
we can
discuss
also
किया care
mention,
economy. Yes, yes.
we can also mention like in the care economy में specifically women ही involved होती हैं, and in the paid economy we can say the men only, most of the men are involved. तो ये
Yes,
भी एक
yes,
major differentiator होता है दोनों में.
yes.
The objective will be, I think, to get the women to benefit from the monetization more. How we can formalize the informal sector. In fact, that's one of the areas, like you said, इसका global demand बहुत ज़्यादा होगा. As the aging progresses, the shortage of labor, the care economy can be huge monetization for the government. Of course, it requires some agreements in the labor movement. Okay, but that's a potential area where India should, look into for agreements with some of the developed countries. Excellent. Okay. So let's move on. I think almost done paper because the rest of the questions are not as difficult. But one question, I think the specifics की वजह से, Uttam, can you look up answer number 16? The rest are all L1 questions. Nothing much to add in this. Straight questions. Okay. Can you look up question number 16? What is the main task of India's third moon mission? Are we ready for that?
Sir, I think I will need your and Devinder's help in this.
You can give a highlight overview दे दीजिए if you know this, because मुझे लग रहा है बाकी सारे questions doable हैं. Nothing much to really add on this. Okay, if you can recall something, fair enough. So I think the main task of the third moon mission was on 3 fronts. Number 1, they had to get the lander landed properly. Okay, that was 1. To ensure that the rover was out and exploring. And third, very important, is all the research that it was supposed to do, including a study of the ions, study of the water presence, study of the minerals, the soils, and some bit of even earthquake seismographic studies also, study the stability of the surface. Because the pehla do moon mission mein, more or less putting the aircraft in the orbit was successful. Launch was successful, orbit mein chala gaya, slingshot effect was successful. They were able to enter the moon's orbit also. But the problem was thereafter. So third ka mission ka yahi tha. You get the lander ke isme maneuver mein a very, very, very important 3 step tha. The lander had to slow down. The lander had to turn and become vertical and then go for a soft landing. Okay, so I think last time the mistake was The soft landing के last few meters में, I think that's where the system didn't work well.
Yes, sir. The 15
So
minutes
if I
of
was
terror
compare-
that we call.
Yes, 15. So essentially, students had to be careful not to list down what was the objectives of Chandrayaan 3. They have to compare in terms of what was not achieved in Chandrayaan 2 and 1, खासकर 2 के साथ में, and what did we do now? So I think these were the main elements. I repeat, okay, while the launch, the entering orbit, the slingshot wala wo sara sahi tha hamara, Chandrayaan even 2 was successful. The problem was thereafter. The Vikram lander, it had to turn horizontal, say vertical, slowing down the speed, soft landing, ये Vikram का था, और Pragya rover का था, the exploration part. Okay, iron, okay, study of the water, study of the minerals, and even seismographic studies. So this was what was achieved in this mission. Whereas if you look at which countries have achieved this, I think all of us know the answer. Soft landing India, US, Russia, China.
China, sir. Yes.
Yeah, China. So even France and UK have not done this. I think Japan has done this, right? No, I can't recall Japan.
No, sir.
Did Japan succeed? Do the students online know if Japan has succeeded in soft landing? No, I think they have a proper space station. I'm not sure if they have succeeded in soft landing. I can't recall though. So maybe somebody online can tell us if succeeded or not. So I think question number 16 is fine. You could have handled thereafter. Let me wind up the conversation with one quick discussion. Question number 20 ka discussion. Give out the major sources of terror funding in India and the efforts. Okay. So Karan says Japan has not done. So it's India, Russia, China, and US. 4 countries who have done this. Okay, great, wonderful.
जापान ने अभी इसी मंथ में किया है सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग.
जापान ने कर दिया.
हाँ, in September last week.
Okay, September last week, Karan.
Yeah.
Okay, current affairs, Edukemy का काफी strong है. The team is very good. So Japan has done it. So we inspired some country to do it. अब देखना ये है कि next country who will be competing with India on this will be Pakistan. So when does Pakistan manage soft landing? Okay, on the moon is what we must wait for. Okay, so let's see what happens there. Anyways, let's move on now. Question number 20. Give out the major sources of terror funding in India and efforts made to curtail these sources. In light of this, discuss the aim and objectives of NMFT conference held in Delhi. Now, I'm very proud to say this. I don't know if all of you know this or not. There is one article in Indian Express, November 25 May, and the article was written by Manas Srivastav. It is UPSC Essentials ka issue at a glance, terror funding. Now, I would want all of you to please read this article. One, it's a very well written article. Second is, Manas is somewhere very dear to me because he has worked with Edukemy for some time before he chose to move on and work for Indian Express. So when I saw this article by Manas Srivastav, okay, so I was very happy. So जो भी आपको answer चाहिए, it's a straight question thing to discuss at all. What is terror funding? Drugs funding, hawala, cryptocurrency, digicurrency. It also includes kidnapping, small crimes se funding, NGOs se funding hoti hai. There is unauthorized diversion of funds. So all the funds done willfully, directly or indirectly to support terrorism activities, including terrorism logistics, terrorism training and attacks. All of that is declared as terror financing. Okay, and the objective of this community convention is to ban all type of terror funding. So terror funding का 2 link है. Okay, एक तो आपका FAFT है. Okay, that's a part of जो Financial Action Task Force है. Yes, 1989 setup था. And this has been started from 2018 onwards. No money for terror. So in different conventions and meetings, they have taken up different agenda. Like they took up agenda to ban kidnapping on this. They took the agenda to ban digital currency or trading. And then the verdict now is whether it can directly link to terror act or not does not matter. अगर directly link ना भी हो, but the tracking is traced to that, it has to be banned. So the policy that India follows is इसी article में है. It's a 5-pronged policy India follows to ensure it is taken care of. And in the policy, a very important step is that we must track down the funds and we have to stop it thereafter. The zero tolerance towards any type of terror funding. Okay, so it says, if you give me 1 second, kidnapping for ransom to be stopped. There was one specific reference. Let me come. It says, it says trace, target, terminate. That's the trace, target, terminate. That is the whole objective, where all kind of low economic offenses to organized economic crimes have been tracked and stopped. So please take this up. Okay, there's nothing to discuss from my side. I repeat, the article's name is Terror Funding Issue at Glance by Indian Express, written by Manas Srivastav. It's a comprehensive write-up. Okay, and it answers questions on terror funding. So that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for sitting through. I hope we could enrich your understanding of the paper and the issues taken up. The nuances jo chahiye paper solving mein, I hope you all have understood that. One last discussion we will have on Sunday. So all geography students, Sunday paper 1 discuss karenge, Monday paper 2 discuss karenge. I'll request all of you to join us, me and Apoor sir, at 8 p.m. For the geography optional discussion. Till then, have a nice time, happy weekend, happy studying. Okay, see you all again. Okay, in some other sessions. Bye all of you. And thank Uttam, thank Devendra. Thank you so much.
Sir. Thank you.
Okay. I love
Thank you,
that देख रहा है विनोद. So विनोद बहुत कुछ देखता रहता है. So thank you so much. Online, YouTube, all of you, thank you so much. Online, Dikshit, online discussion for the geography optional. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks.